Hi, my name is Sean Nicholson, and I am the host of Kingdom Business, where we're growing ministry and business. Our goal is for you, the viewers, to see where the intersection and business meet. Each week, we're bringing you a phenomenal opportunity for you, the viewers, to tune in to see topics that can speak to both your personal as well as your professional goals, as I reveal how I'm able to keep God at the center of it all. Listen, we got a powerful show for you today. In this episode, we're focusing on outreach, focusing on pivoting, focusing on strategic planning, things that we love to talk about for your ministry and your business. Now, the exciting thing about Kingdom Business is that we keep the conversation going. Even when you're not streaming here, I want you to reach out to us with your questions, your comments, and your concerns. We will address them, and we will also talk about them on the next show. I'm listening online at Kbiz World on Twitter, Kbiz World on Twitter, or on Facebook at Kingdom Business 7. You can also contact me at contact@kingdombusiness.world. Now, our first guest today is very phenomenal in everything that he's doing for the kingdom. And we're going to introduce him a little bit more formally after I show you this quick clip.
It's a new year, it's a new you, it's a new season. We got to grow our churches. We got to find a way in this pandemic to find a way to connect, to communicate, to get our increase of giving back up so we can do the work of the Lord to see his kingdom extended and the local church growing, particularly in this virtual space. I'm so excited about the innovative and attractive church app that we now have the opportunity to share with so many pastors around the country. The average person spends 3 hours a day looking at their phone now. Can you imagine, instead of going to a website that's destination driven, that on the palm of your hand, sending out push notifications, sending out information to all of the people who follow you. Speaking of following, social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything you need is right there at the palm of your hand in the INPEACE Church app. Again, I want to encourage you to make 2022 the greatest year of growing your ministry, being high tech, being high touch, and being the people that God has called both you and I to be in this virtual space. Again, I'm Dr. Michael Anthony Stevens, Senior Director of INPEACE Church Apps. I encourage you to get the app, sign up now, and make this your greatest year.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I told you it was going to be a great show. Listen, our guest today is a visionary founder or the visionary founder and senior pastor of the City Church of God in Christ. Now, the City Church is an innovative church with a very clear and conscious vision to love God, love the people, serve the world. The City Church offers a diverse and cutting-edge ministries, various cutting-edge ministries in the Charlotte, North Carolina, and surrounding areas that affect hundreds of lives through effective evangelism, Christian education, and community empowerment. So without further ado, I want to bring on Dr. Michael A. Stevens. How you doing, sir?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone it is you're watching this in. But Dr. Sean Nicholson, what a joy and what an honor it is to be on this phenomenal and fantastic global show. And I'm doing well, thank you.
Excellent. Listen, well, I know you are a busy person, and I am just honored and thankful that you took time out of your busy schedule just to talk to us and share your vision and the things that you're doing to the world. So thank you. I want to thank you for that.
The honor is all mine. It's a busy season. It's a busy season for pastors, for business owners, for entrepreneurs. It's a busy season for visionaries, and we're doing what we're doing. And so before we go any further, I just want to take a moment to commend you and to celebrate you in this tremendous accomplishment and this achievement that's reaching, that's encouraging, empowering so many people at the intersection of ministry, business, kings and priests. If there's ever been a time for us to do what we're doing, now's the time.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. For coming from you, I'm grateful, and I appreciate that, which is great for what we're doing, because this is about kingdom business.
Sure.
You know, it's about showing, as you mentioned, the intersection of ministry and business, because for so long we have operated in silos, and we have operated with a different mindset.
Sure.
And a lot of times I like to look at it as a fixed mindset. But because of COVID, because of this global pandemic, because of economic downfalls and social injustices and all these different things that are happening, it is causing us, churches as well as ministries, to think differently, right? And so that's why this show is very, very important. And the work that you do is very important. So tell us a little bit more about Dr. Stevens and the things that you are doing.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Simple. The goal is to be simple, right? Not complicated. The goal is to be really simple. What you see is what you get. First and foremost, save, love the Lord, redeemed by his blood, and grateful for that. Grateful for second opportunities to be in the family of God, to do the work of the Lord, even in the midst of this raging pandemic with all of its various variants. I've been married almost 30 years this come August, and 3 adult kids. The joy of being with family. Pastor a great local church here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Thank you, by the way, for that wonderful plug. Got a young group of resilient. I say young because we're all still under 90 years old. So we're young, we're resilient, we're off the hook, off the chain. And we're like every other church right now. We're trying to make it happen with all of the different navigatings and pivotings through this pandemic. But I've been in Charlotte for the last 27 and a half, 28 years almost, originally from Houston, Texas. And, God's call on my life is just to do the work of the Lord. And, like a lot of people, 2 years ago, you're sitting at your kitchen table when this pandemic hit and you're saying, okay, what do I do now? And so I started doing some consulting, and I still pastor. I love the local church, and there's nothing that will ever rival the call of God to pastor the local church. But I had to stay busy throughout the other 5-6 days of the week. And so I started doing consulting, which will eventually lead us to the conversation about INPEACE and others. So at the end of the day, man, my hobbies, fishing, football, traveling, and getting a little older now. So I kind of like quiet time. I like nature. So that's me in a nutshell.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. It has caused us to think differently and try to figure out other ways. And being pastors, that's a full-time job. Whether it's just on Sundays, it's 7 days a week, right? And you got to have that balance, right? And you mentioned some things there that is very important for us to have is that balance. But let's talk a little bit more about, and not really to dive into so much of the INPEACE, because we'll talk about that in the second segment, but more so towards your business as it relates to the ministry. Give us an example of what you have done, not just during this global pandemic, but prior to the global pandemic, that has shown to be fruitful with making that transition.
Well, you know what? Great question, Dr. Sean, and thank you for that. I grew up in Houston, Texas. Like I said, I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. My dad, my mom. I grew up and I remember, growing up watching them get up early in the mornings, man, whether it was going to yard sales, garage sales, opening up our garage in 3rd Ward, Houston, Texas, selling all type of stuff from our garage. Dad was in construction, building houses. Mom did trinkets and crafts and sold it. And then, I carried that on. I was in high school selling shades, and went to college, sold refreshments in my dorm room. My wife and I sold antiques our second year of marriage. And then came to Charlotte, started a church, and I opened a restaurant, a soul food restaurant, chicken and waffles restaurant, had the first barbershop in a enclosed mall in this city, did some consulting. But what led now is, you think about what the Bible says in the book of Revelations 1, we're called to be both kings and priests. And, I think as Christians, we have the priestly functions, right? We know what to do on Sundays. We know what to do as Christians in terms of, church stuff. But what do we do the other 5-6 days of the week? Jesus said, occupy until I come. The word occupy means to trade, to barter, to do service, to do business. And somehow or another, we, as you said, we get into this funnel, or we get tunnel minded or single focus, and we become so heavenly bound, we become no earthly good. And that's why the whole book of First Thessalonica was written. Those folk were so heaven bound. He just said, you know what, we're not going to get married, we're not going to have no jobs, we're just going to wait for the rapture. And Jesus said, time out. No, hey, listen. Go get a job. Paul writes to the church and says, go get a job. Go get some business going. It may be a while before he comes back. And so, there was the church that, he wrote, the letters that were written to the church saying, get everyday Christian life. And part of that life is to work, to do business, to do trade. So with that being said, I think that at the end of the day, if we're going to take some of these prophecies of houses and land, if we're going to be the head and not the tail, we got to understand marketplace ministry. We got to understand those 7 mountains as our as our other brothers and sisters understand, those 7 mountain marketplaces of influence and effectiveness. And sometimes that happens in the realms of business and entrepreneurial development.
Well said, well said. And and we have a lot of similarities in terms of our background. But you're right, spot on. Marketplace ministry is really what it's calling us to do, I believe. We're the light, right? Paul talked about us being read and seen of all men. So we are examples, right? Or as the scripture says, examples. And those are the things that we're trying to do. And as we do that, we know that God has given us the power to get wealth, right? And it's not just talking about it, it's actually experiencing those things. He's given us the creativity, the innovation, and the ideas that he just opens up our minds and our hearts to be able to see come to fruition. And that's very important for business, but it's equally important for ministry, right? Because as we're doing it in ministry, we're now training others to come alongside us and do the same thing.
Absolutely.
So that is awesome. Well, listen, I want to talk about the one of the main reasons why we brought you here, which is the INPEACE app. Those viewers, you've already seen the video clip that we had, and it's very, very exciting. It's exciting time, especially for now as we're finding ways to pivot with this Omicron new variant now that is causing some churches to shut down again, some of the businesses to shut down again after they really haven't fully recovered from the first shutdown. How do we do this? How do we keep the momentum? How do we keep, if you will, our parishioners, if you will, steadily wanting to give, wanting to stay connected, wanting to be engaged in what we're doing? So we're going to talk about that real shortly, right? Now, listen, this is great. I'm having a good time talking to you, sir. There's so much that I want to talk to you about.
So much.
All right. But listen, to the viewers, don't forget that we're listening to you online. We want you to reach out to us with your questions and your comments and even your concerns. And you can email us at contact@kingdombusiness.world. I will always hit you back with an answer on our next episode, but you got to keep watching. You got to stay engaged. And we're going to talk about that engagement in a way for you to stay engaged when we come back. That way we can keep the conversation going. Now, well, listen, we're going to take a quick, short break, as I like to say, to pay some bills. But you don't want to miss what we have coming up on the other side. All right? We'll see you in a minute. All right. We are back. Well, for those of you that are just tuning in, I am with Dr. Michael Stevens, and he is a visionary, a pastor, a businessman, an entrepreneur, a great individual that has joined us today to give us some information on how that you can help your ministries pivot during this global pandemic that we're experiencing. So, Dr. Michael Stevens, please give us some information about this INPEACE app that you've been talking about.
Yeah. Well, thank you for asking again. I just can't thank you enough for this opportunity to share the app and just share a little bit about what the Lord is doing here in Charlotte and, Florida and all around the country, Dr. Nicholson. First of all, the INPEACE app is believe it or not, is really nothing new to the market. It seems to be new because of the pandemic, but gosh, it's almost as if the Lord, prepared it for such a time as this. The INPEACE app is a very unique, innovative, highly attractive, customizable app, 100% customizable app. Believe it or not, Dr. Nicholson, there's 6,000 church apps, 6,000 INPEACE church apps around the world, namely out of South America, Central America, Europe, Asia. but it wasn't in the English-speaking United States of America. As I mentioned earlier, I did some consulting during the beginning of the pandemic days, and one of the clients that I was doing consulting for, the owners bought the North America rights. I mean, they stroked a pretty decent check, and they bought the North American rights to bring INPEACE app to the United States of America. And their goal is to become the #1 church app in America in the next 3 years. And I think they're well on the way to doing that. And here's why. It's highly attractive, it's very relevant, and it's very comprehensive. You got some great online features for churches in this virtual space, but they're really one-dimensional apps, whether it be Givelify, PushPay, EasyTithe, some of these other wonderful features. But INPEACE brings a comprehensive totality. It starts with the streaming platform. It is a direct streaming platform. And by the way, INPEACE goes through the Google Play Store for Android users. It also goes through the iTunes for iPhone users, right? So it is a native app. That's important because people are very concerned about security, digital protocol, all of the different vetting systems. And when you are approved, obviously, on those two platforms, someone's done their homework and someone's assured you that you'll have the equity and the security needed. So with that being said, the streaming, the social media, the giving, the prayer wall, the events planning, the small groups, the everything you need is on the palm of your hand. Now, this is important because, as that little promo said earlier, people are spending right now on average 3.1 hours a day. And I know that's hard to believe, but if you walk around with a ticker all day long, you're in the bathroom, you're on the treadmill, you're at the stop sign, you're walking the dog, you're frying chicken, or you're on the job, you're on the smoke break. Not us, but you know what I'm saying? People, somebody, whoever, right? Maybe some of us. But anyway, the truth of the matter is, that's a lot of time.
True.
My iPhone populates a list once a week. I was on my iPhone 5.9 hours 2 weeks ago. That's double the average, man.
Wow.
So it becomes really, really, really relevant now. And on top of that, it really meets the needs of 3 major pain points of pastors. I do this interview. I do presentations probably 15, 20 times a week. I talk to pastors and bishops 6 days a week right now, literally 6 days a week. I hate to admit it, probably 7 days a week right now. The reality is this. The 3 major pain points, and INPEACE app meets all 3. Number 1, connectivity. Pastors do not feel connected to their members. Members do not feel connected to their pastors, and members do not feel connected to each other in this pandemic because of social distancing, quarantine, and lockdown mode. This app can help that severely with the whole chat, the whole texting, the whole messaging piece, the whole connectivity with the prayer wall features. There's just a lot of things that it brings to the table to make members come back together. Number 2 is communication. You got people on campus, you got people online, you got people traveling, you got people all over the space, not just physically. Now you have people all over the space, social media wise. You're not the one horse pony show anymore in your city, Pastor. Sure. You got 1,000 Facebook Live broadcasts on Sunday mornings, and you think everybody's watching you. You keep thinking that, right? You're competing now with every slick, beautiful broadcast out there. So the INPEACE app has things intentionally designed to keep people under the tutelage, under the anointing and the grace of you, the senior pastor. And then thirdly, the giving platform. The owners of INPEACE, they knew that they were going to compete in the North American market with giants such as Givelify and EasyTithe and PushPay. They had to do 3 things. Number 1, they had to beat their rates, pants off. I mean, just hands down, they had to beat their rates. So they came in they came in a half a point less than all of the other competitors when it comes to transactional fees when people give online. Very simple platform, very easy, user-friendly platform. Number 2, the church member, Dr. Sean, has the ability to pay that transaction fee versus the church paying for it. So when I give my tithe on the INPEACE giving, it says, do you want to pay the 2.4% transaction fee, or do you want your church to pay it? Well, I want to pay it. I don't want my church to pay it. So that's another unique thing. And then thirdly, instead of the church getting that deposit on, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which is typical for most of these transactional companies, INPEACE said you'll have your money 24 hours. So when people give on Sundays, their money's deposited on Mondays. Now, some churches, no big deal to them, but our church, we have payroll on Monday. We've got utilities on Monday. We need it Monday, not Tuesday. So you might say, how's all this possible? INPEACE was designed, it was developed, and it was created by a group of pastors for pastors.
Okay.
And that's why this app is so very real and relevant. And by the way, all this was created before we knew anything about a pandemic 2 years
Is that
ago.
something?
But now that we're in this pandemic, the virtual reality of this app is so essential.
Timely, very timely. Wow, that's a lot. You shared a lot. I want to kind of hone in on a couple things that's I feel relevant because of ministry and business. The first one is going to be the engagement or the connectivity that you mentioned. We're social people. We love the touchy-feely. We love the connectivity. We love coming in to a business and someone greets you. We love coming to the church and the greeter and the seekers and the ushers are there to greet us. But yeah, we don't have that right now. So speak a little bit about some of the functionalities of the app that can help assist with that missed connectivity.
Well, you know what? And again, connectivity of the three, by the way, Dr. Sean, connectivity was the number one pain point. And I feel you because we're touchy people. Nowadays, a lot of my messaging as I serve and work with INPEACE is high tech, high touch. How do we keep the balance of being high tech without losing the value and the importance of being high touch? And that's hard to do in a touchless society, right? Sure. So one of the things INPEACE does, instead of just having prayer partners and touching and agreeing when you can't touch right now, is when you pick up this phone, you actually have a feature on this app where you not only can chat and talk with people in your church prayer group, but you can see their pictures of things they want you to pray for. So if I'm praying for a new home, put the picture of the home up. If I'm praying for a young couple who just got recently married, put the picture of that couple in there. Yeah. I can hit a heart button that sends a ping to that prayer partner that says, I'm praying for you right now. I can hit the envelope that says, I'm going to send you a message. I'm going to put a scripture in that message. And you know what? I'm talking to you today, but I just got an alert saying so-and-so and so-and-so is praying for me right now. That builds my faith. That lets me know someone thought enough of me at 3 a.m. is to send me a message that they're praying for me. Those are touch points that you have to have. Let's go back to another feature that I really care for about in this app. And that would be the whole, for example, we have a feature called, well, I call it sermon notes, because remember now, this is all 100% customizable. So we customize our feature that calls sermon notes. So every Sunday, I upload my sermon in digital print. So if someone wants to go along on their phone while I'm preaching, they can see my scriptures, my 3 points, my definitions, maybe there's a hymn, whatever. But again, instead of them getting spread out all over the internet, they can follow this sermon. When the service is over, they can review that sermon that week because we want to keep them in touch. Yep. But here's the beautiful thing. Everyone knows 2 or 3 people that could use that sermon, that word, that encouragement. Here's what you can do. Hit one button and you can text it to somebody. You can email it to somebody. You can drop it on Facebook. Now, someone says, someone was thinking about me. They sent me Reverend Stephen's word for this past Sunday. Be encouraged in this pandemic moment. Yeah. Touch points. And that just goes a long way. Push notifications. Just sending out a 7 a.m. good morning. God bless you. This is Pastor Stevens. Have a joyous day as you seek the Lord. Remember, God has a perfect plan for your life. See you tonight at 7:30 Bible study. Again, touch moments in this touchless society.
That's awesome. Well said. And the second point I wanted to just get you to touch on a little bit is the giving. You mentioned Giveify, and a lot of our churches support that. Talk a little bit about the platform and how that there's the integration to that as well.
Yeah. You use a very important word, integration. One of the joys of working with the INPEACE app is if you have a third-party church software company, a third-party management company like QuickBooks or Quicken, or any type of church management software, it can be easily integrated into the app. And again, I'm a pastor, Dr. Nicholson, so I'm going to always talk about the bells and whistles, the lights, camera, action part of ministry. But for the executive pastor, for the bookkeeper, for the pastor's wife, for the administrator who says, oh, that's cute and all, but how are we going to pay bills? How are we going to get the work done? Well, this is a very robust app that handles the 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. So yes, Thank you for bringing that up. There is a back office integration where you can manage, do reports, do printing, do all this from the iCloud desktop of the app. So let's go back to Giveify. We've had Giveify for 7, 8, maybe even 9 years now when it first came out, because we knew our church was very mobile. People are all over the world, traveling, home, whatever. And we needed people to give even when they were out of town.
Right.
So we love Givelify. We respect Givelify. But when something came and competed with them in terms of rates, in terms of deliverability, in terms of measurables, we said, Givelify, we love it, but there's a new sheriff in town. Now, here's the thing. I have older people in my church.
Okay.
So it wasn't outward old them with the new. What we did was we slowly migrated people intentionally and methodically from Givelify or Easy Tide. I think we had Zelle and Cash App and about 4 or 5 of them, and we're slowly migrating people over. We don't want to upset the apple cart. That's the last thing we want to do.
Yeah.
So we still have Givelify, but we're slowly bringing people over to INPEACE because it saves the church money. It's a very simple platform. It's a very easy, user-friendly process. And I would encourage every pastor and every church to do just that.
Awesome. Well said. Well said. Well, look, this has been great. Time is fast. This is the fastest show I think on the internet.
Oh my God! I got 20 more pieces to share with you.
I'm telling you. Listen, how can the viewers find you and connect with you?
All right. Me personally, and I'm sure you'll put all this in all of the information. That easiest way is Pastor Michael at INPEACE app.com. Pastor Michael at INPEACEapp.com. That's the easiest way to find me.
Okay.
Or just go to our website, INPEACEapp.com, INPEACEapp.com. I know this is a global broadcast. That's probably the best way to do it is go to INPEACEapp.com. All those fields, you can just Google it. It'll come up. You'll see it. You can go to the Android, Google Play Store, you can go to iTunes Store. Yeah. I love doing what I do. Again, I love the local church. I love pastoring, but this gives it a rival, right?
Awesome.
There's so much incredible things. And you know what? Last, I'll say this because you are a business acumen, business-minded person. This app actually can make money for you. There's a small subscription monthly fee. It's not expensive at all. But there are people right now, this app makes money for them. It pays for the fee itself. There's a little small couple of tweak things you can do, and this app can make you money every month. There's no more tape tables, by the way, Dr. Nicholson. There's no more product tables. So no more cassette tapes, DVDs, and CDs.
Right.
That is a thing of the past. But you can sell your content, your sermon, your teachings, your series. You can sell that online on your app. So while you're asleep on vacation, this right here is selling for you. And the pastor says, God, thank you for my INPEACE Church app.
Excellent. Well done. Listen, that's all the time that we have. Just stay tuned, Dr. Stevens, but that's all the time that we have for today. But I hope you've learned a lesson that you can start living today. I want you to remember that I am Dr. Sean Nicholson, and this has been Kingdom Business, where we're growing ministry and business. Don't forget, we keep the conversation going at Kingdom Business 7. I'll see you every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time, right here on the powernetwork.tv. Now, remember, passion is the ability to pass eye on. We'll see you next time.
It's a new year, it's a new you, it's a new season. We got to grow our churches. We got to find a way in this pandemic to find a way to connect, to communicate, to get our increase of giving back up so we can do the work of the Lord to see his kingdom extended and the local church growing, particularly in this virtual space. I'm so excited about the innovative and attractive church app that we now have the opportunity to share with so many pastors around the country. The average person spends 3 hours a day looking at their phone now. Can you imagine, instead of going to a website that's destination driven, that on the palm of your hand, sending out push notifications, sending out information to all of the people who follow you. Speaking of following, social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything you need is right there at the palm of your hand in the INPEACE Church app. Again, I want to encourage you to make 2022 the greatest year of growing your ministry, being high tech, being high touch, and being the people that God has called both you and I to be in this virtual space. Again, I'm Dr. Michael Anthony Stevens, Senior Director of INPEACE Church Apps. I encourage you to get the app, sign up now, and make this your greatest year.